Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com. Happy Sunday, fun day, everybody. Taking a look at the NFL, and who better to do it with than my partner that, I take a look at everything with. I call him before I make a dinner decision. That's how joined at the hip we are. It's Scott Reichel, everybody. What's up, Scott?
Nothing much. Doing pretty well. I know the Yankees play in about half an hour, so which is why we were going to get this NFL video done nice and early. Looking forward to going through the games. I know that some lines might move because of injury reports, stuff like that, over the next day and a half. But looking forward to covering some football.
Yeah, we'll see how all that goes and see which games are moved and not played and et cetera, et cetera. So for the record, we are just taking a look at Sunday's games, the games that will actually be played on Sunday. So.
Better late than never, I guess. I mean, even at the Tennessee game, that might be played on Tuesday, assuming that there are no more positive tests, et cetera. So,
right.
Yeah, the truth is, now that the NBA Finals are basically going to be over and all you got is baseball, I'm fine with midweek football. Works for me.
Tuesday night NFL? Absolutely.
Yeah,
hey, you know what I forgot to tell you, Scott? You know what the MAC announced yesterday, don't you?
I already knew that they were coming back. I'm assuming they're bringing back Wednesday football.
It's going to be all midweek games, dude.
That's fun. I didn't know that.
For the first 3 or 4 weeks, it's all midweek games.
Yes, I get to see Akron play on Thursday night on ESPN2. That's the dream.
You know what? Akron made us a lot of money last year.
Not because they were good. Spoiler alert.
No, not because they were good. Not at all because they were good. So, all right, Scotty, let's get rolling here. Taking a look, and we're going to go through in rotation order. Taking a look first at 451, 452, the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. Speaking of a barn burner, Scott, Atlanta's a 1-point favorite. Why? Because somebody has to be.
Well, the line definitely did drop, though. They only had to open up a roughly 2.5 or even 3. Now they've plummeted down to 1, which makes sense because for some reason Dan Quinn's still there. I don't know whose pictures he has or who he's blackmailing, but he probably should have been fired. I don't know, but 2 years ago, give or take.
Yeah, certainly. He shouldn't have come back this year.
Yeah, and he shouldn't be coming back after his team was a complete no-show on Monday Night Football against the Packers.
That was dreadful. That was absolutely dreadful.
It was profitable, but it was bad.
I don't hate this Carolina team.
I like Matt Rule as a coach. I thought that they would be better than people thought they would be, but I still thought they'd win maybe around 4 to 5 games. But Bridgewater, steady quarterback, doesn't turn the ball over. They have decent weapons. McCaffrey getting injured, of course, was not part of the game plan, but Mike Davis done a pretty good job filling in.
He has.
DJ Moore is still a good receiver. Robbie Anderson's been a great addition to the team. Even the defense with a bunch of young rookies actually look pretty sharp. I know that they've been very good against the pass this year. And Atlanta, at the same point, is dealing with a bunch of injuries. Julio Jones still dealing with a hamstring injury that he keeps re-aggravating every time he plays. Calvin Ridley's been questionable all week. He was limited in practice earlier in the week, so he's going to play, but he's not fully healthy. And the secondary for Atlanta is completely battered. They got pretty much no safeties to speak of whatsoever. I took Carolina earlier in the week. Until Dan Quinn gets fired, I don't know how I'm supposed to back Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I've got Jalen Quinn is out, the safety. It looks like Ken O'Neal and Ricardo Allen are both going to play, even though they were limited participants in practice. Neither one of them do have an injury designation, so Atlanta should be getting back a couple of safeties, and that hopefully will make a difference. I doubt if it does. I'm all kinds of Carolina here, buddy. I really am. Good, and by the way, it's a good thing the Jets had so many receivers that they could just get rid of Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, Robbie Anderson. As a Jets fan, I can say that I thought that he was a good receiver. He was mostly more of a deep threat. It seems like he's kind of evolved on the route tree with Carolina because he's not afraid to catch the more medium-length routes instead of just going deep pass or nothing. So him and Bridgewater already have a good chemistry with them. DJ Moore been surprisingly quiet, and Ian Thomas actually a decent tight end. So they have a decent amount of weapons there. And the defense, I can't say it's good, but it's definitely been better than people thought it would be. People thought there were going to be a ton of growing pains.
Yeah, I do. Eli Apple is going to be out.
Has he actually been decent this year?
See, that's the thing. It's kind of your good news, bad news. It's like, well, do we have another cornerback? Sure. Well, let's put him in and see what happens. I'm not I'm not an Eli Apple fan from the time that he was with the Giants. I just don't think he's for some reason he has a good name. He must have done something at some point, but I'm not a fan.
Well, I don't blame you because I don't think many other people are a fan of
All right,
Eli.
I'm on the Panthers here. What do you got?
I have the Panthers. I took them earlier in the week.
Okay, fair enough. Chiefs Raiders, buddy. Chiefs minus 11.5 at home in front of 18,000 rabid fans. Total on this one is 55. Scott, good teams win. Great teams cover.
Well, the spread's pretty huge, but the thing about the Raiders that I feel like people every single year are so quick to buy into the hype after one good week, and that's exactly what happened against the Saints.
Yep.
It's like, oh, the Raiders, they beat the Saints. Saints are really good. I'm like, did nobody else notice that Drew Brees just looks awful right now and how the Saints, I'd say their secondary just wasn't very good. And I get that the Raiders, wanted to win the first game in Vegas and there was whatever. Did the same thing last year. They beat the Bears in London. People were going, oh, are the Raiders legit? And I'm like, no. And then they ended up having a losing record by the end of the year. I think that this is the same type of team. The issue is that their secondary is awful.
Yep.
Jonathan Abram is a good safety. Their corners are not very good. They drafted a projected third-round corner in the first round, and now he's injured. He's not playing. And they had a massive amount of busts on the defensive line because you draft Cleveland Ferrell in the top 10. He's supposed to go late first round, and shockingly, he's not been good. And Max Crosby was okay last year. He hasn't done anything either. The Raiders are in the bottom of the league in terms of sacks per game. They just don't generate pressure, and they don't force turnovers. So, of course, they're not doing well. The offense itself looks fine. Derek Carr looks pretty good. The offensive line's been a little bit injured, but they're fine. Josh Jacobs, a good running back. Waller's been a tremendous find as well. But you drafted Henry Ruggs. So far in the last 3 weeks, he's 3 combined yards. I thought he was going to be terrible. I thought he was going to be a bust, and that's what it seems like to me so far.
He's been hurt. He's been hurt a lot.
I know. I'm just saying, when the most receiving yards you have in a game so far is 55, and you go from 55 to 4, I just didn't think highly of Ruggs coming out of the draft. So I think the issue that I have with the Raiders, that even though they are making progress, a lot of their draft picks just don't look very good. Am I wrong for feeling that way? Because their defensive line has been a disaster.
No, it's been dreadful, and the Chiefs have struggled to stop the run. Stop me if you've heard this song before. But the problem with the Chiefs and somebody that runs the ball is you find yourselves down 14-0, and that running game kind of gets put on the shelf for a while. So that's the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the healthiest they've been in a while. They get Rashard Breeland back this week. Michael Dana, the kind of the run stuffer from Michigan, he's going to be out this week, and that's the only Chiefs injury. Everybody else is going to be back. Charvarius Ward is back. Chris Jones is going to be back.
Do you think I missed anything in my brief Raiders rant there? Or do you think I pretty much covered everything? Because I feel like that's kind of a perfect
of course, yeah, you did, Scott. You didn't talk about how shitty a coach John Gruden was.
Oh, Super Bowl winning head coach John Gruden. I remind you. No, he's fine. The only thing that you have to wonder is, does his system still work in 2020, or should it have been left in the early 2000s? And right. Derek Carr, if I'm being honest, does have flashes in the system where he looks really good.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to criticize the offensive coach or an offensive-minded coach for creating a system that focuses on balance and whatever. They also don't have many weapons, if I'm being honest. When their number one receiver for the last 2 weeks is Hunter Renfrow, they're going to have some problems. So they needed a receiver, which you could have argued should have been Antonio Brown, and then that whole thing kind of blew up. Terrell Williams also got injured. He's out for the year, stuff like that. But
right.
Mostly the defense, which is the reason why this team struggles every year, because Derek Carr every now and then will have his limitations, but when you can't stop the run, you can't stop the pass. I don't know what to tell you, because the Raiders every single year just cannot stop anybody.
Yeah, right. And the Raiders are pretty healthy right now. They've got Brian Edwards, depth chart guy, wide receiver, is going to be out. Trent Brown.
He's a rookie. He's fine. He showed flashes against New Orleans. But
that's what I'm saying. He's the only one that's officially out right now.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't think I'm blaming Gruden. I think I'm blaming Mayock, because I don't really think half of their, or if not more than half of their draft picks have worked. I think Josh Jacobs is a really good running back.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, besides Jacobs, who else have they gotten who you look at and go, this is a good player? Like, Abram's good, but he's injured all the time.
Right. And that's the thing. Well, and, we don't know if Ruggs is any good because he can't stay on the field.
Yeah, I didn't like him in college because I thought he got injured all the time and stuff like that. And shocker, he's already injured. But when you take reaches on guys like Cleveland Ferrell in the top 10 and they turn out to not be very good, I'm going to have to roast Mayock. And I know that the Raiders have shown flashes of being good every now and then, but the makeup of this team, they just have so many holes at so many positions, and all the rookies they draft just don't develop into anything.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I got the Chiefs to cover here. They've covered 12 of their last 13.
I'm taking the Chiefs because last year when they played the Raiders, they beat the hell out of them. You had Mahomes who threw 4 touchdowns in a quarter in the first matchup and the second matchup, and I believe it was, I want to say November.
Yeah, I think the Raiders had a 10-0 lead in the first quarter, and that was over.
And then they played again like in late November. I don't remember if it was snow or it was bad weather, and I feel like the Chiefs won by about 35.
Yeah, it wasn't bad weather. The bad weather game was against Denver. That was a snow game.
Never mind. Either or. Then it wasn't warm in Arrowhead. I'll put it that way. And then we still won by 30-something. So the Raiders don't have answers for the Chiefs.
Yeah, agreed. Rams at the Washington football team. Rams on the road, 8.5. 46.5 is your number there. Scott, this would be a blind Rams play for me if they wouldn't have shapped the bed last week.
I had them on a teaser, so they did not officially do that.
I did as well. I had them on a.
They still covered. So watch yourself.
I think you were getting 7, you had to give 7.5. 7. I was given 7.5.
I got 6.5, I believe.
They win it by 8, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dwayne Haskins, Scott.
I'll tell you what. So I'm gonna have a brief. I don't want to make this too long of an NFL video, but I got a brief rant on Washington.
Oh, it's a shocker.
I understand that people wanted Dwayne Haskins to be good. I also understand that people think it might have been premature to pull him, especially after having a decent performance against Baltimore. And I thought it was pretty interesting with the spot. I think if you're going to bench him, it should have been after the Cleveland game because he was atrocious in that game. But just to be clear, I think Dwayne Haskins is not an NFL caliber quarterback. I think he's bad.
What is this? This would be his junior year?
Something like that. I know he's young. I know that I know he has not played in 16 full games, and you can make the argument that Ron Rivera's main excuse or his alibi was, well, we had a new system, we didn't have a full training camp, so he doesn't fully know it, and Kyle Allen does from last year. My main argument, overall, I don't think Dwayne Haskins is any good. I've seen him play numerous times, especially in the NFC East when he's playing the Cowboys or the Giants, and they basically forced the game on television, even though nobody will ask for it to be on television. I don't think he's any good. And I've seen him play. It's possible he can, change that in the future. I think he's a backup quarterback at best because from what I've seen so far in his young career, and I know that it's very early to immediately pull the plug, and I get that. At no point have I seen any flashes of him being an NFL quarterback. So that's just my takeaway.
No, I agree. And
that sounds harsh, but it's just the way it is. I see no signs of progress from him week in, week out. I see the same mistakes, same inaccuracies. He has no mobility in the pocket. He reminds me a lot of Josh Rosen. He's a guy with a decent arm. You watch him play in college and go, this guy should be good. Then he translates to the pros, and he's absolutely nothing.
Well, the weird thing is how good their pass rush is and how terrible the rest of the defense is.
When healthy, the pass rush. I know Chase Young has had some injury issues. Kerrigan's also missed a couple practices here or there. Overall, good defensive line. Their secondary, are you really surprised it's not that good? I know that they paid Landon Collins a bunch of money. Do they have any corners who are worth anything?
No, I understand. I know that's a big part of the problem, but you would think they would just be a little bit better, but they're dreadful. They can't.
I'll tell you one thing that also factors in that people aren't talking about. Part of the reason why Washington switched quarterbacks is because of the fact they're only one game back in the division.
I know.
If you think Dwayne Haskins can't get you there, then you might as well try to push some buttons. I don't think Washington would make this move if they were 0-4. I think if they were 0-4 and they were in a division where first place was 3-1, I don't think they would have made this move. But I think Rivera looked at the actual standings, saw that every team in there can't stop tripping over themselves. And the main reason Washington's tripping over themselves right now is Dwayne Haskins. So if he wants to push some buttons, see if it works, try to find the right answer to make them more competitive, sure. I'm not going to criticize a coach for trying to make a move to win in the division. I don't think he's doing this because he's tanking by any means. He's clearly doing it. He thinks Haskins isn't good enough to get him there.
Yeah, not at all. And, this is kind of a puzzling line for me. Rams were a 13.5-point favorite last week against the Giants, and they're 8.5-point favorite this week against the Washington team that's arguably worse than the Giants? I don't know.
I think Washington's better than the Giants, but I don't know. I don't think they're 6 points better than the Giants. That's what I'll. I mean, plus it was at home for the Rams. They didn't show up.
I understand, but again, home games don't mean what they did.
The truth is that I'm actually leaning to Washington in this spot because, believe it or not, I think Kyle Allen is a better quarterback than Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, I agree.
Do I think Kyle Allen's good? No. But I do think he showed more flashes last year with Carolina than Dwayne Haskins has done his entire career with Washington. So you look at the weapons. Washington has Gibson out of the backfield, who I think is very good. I think he's actually a very good running back who's going to be around for a while. When you end up dropping Adrian Peterson for a rookie, you kind of know that you think highly of the rookie, and Gibson has definitely lived up to that. McLaurin's a great receiver. The offensive line, they are missing Shreve, who ended up getting injured a couple weeks ago, but overall it's still decent. I think Kyle Allen's good enough to hang around, and the question you have for the Rams, I'm sure you feel the same way. I can't figure them out. I know that the record's pretty good.
Right.
They should have beaten Buffalo. They got robbed from that phantom passing interference, so they should arguably be undefeated.
Yep.
I don't get it. I still don't know what to think of Jared Goff. I still love Sean McVay. I think he's a great coach. I know we've disagreed about him in the past, but I don't know what exactly is the issue with that team. But for some reason, they are not consistent at all.
Well, you know who else is going to be spending time in the Washington backfield is
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald, yeah, that's what I'm worried about with Kyle Allen. I think there's a decent chance we might end up seeing Dwayne Haskins at least for a play or two as
you wouldn't see him because Alex Smith is the backup now. They moved Haskins to third string.
They moved him to official third string, huh?
Yeah, he's done. They're not bringing him back.
I don't know why if you have Alex Smith on your roster, you put Kyle Allen out there. That seems mysterious to me anyway.
Yeah. Now, I know some people might counter that saying, well, Alex Smith coming off of injury, blah, blah, blah. But at the same point, if you're never going to actually play him, then why would you move him up?
Right. If he's on your roster, I assume he can play.
Yeah.
He's got plenty of money. I mean, they're not – yeah, I know. Yeah.
No, he wanted to come back because he thinks he could play again. So the point is –
right.
Did Kyle Allen beat him out in camp or something for the second role?
Well, you don't know what kind of a relationship that they have there with, Ron Rivera and Kyle Allen have a little relationship. So, and Alex Smith was inherited, so I get it, but I don't think there's any universe where Alex Smith is not better than Kyle Allen unless he has no skills left.
Do you think Kyle Allen provides any spark to Washington's offense, or no, because he's still a below-average quarterback?
I think he makes better decisions than Haskins does.
Yeah, Haskins makes some of the worst decisions in the entire league.
I think he is. I think he's slightly below average.
He's a good backup to have, but he's not good enough to be a starter.
No, I don't think he's a full-time starter in this league. So
yeah, okay. But I think for a week, I think he could lose by 7. I think this game will be close.
Okay, so you and I disagree on that one.
It's mostly just looking at the Rams saying, "Show me something."
I mean, here's another barn burner that people have been clamoring for. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans, Scott.
I know I gave out something on this earlier in the week for Play the Day video, but for the sake of this game, looking at the spread and the total. Do you think, if we're speaking of providing sparks, do you think firing Bill O'Brien provides a spark or no?
I do.
I feel the same way. I don't think Romeo Crennel's a good head coach and his record is atrocious. But, you finally get rid of the Wicked Witch of the West, and you might think to yourself, maybe this is a better place to live. That's all I'm saying. Is that a fair analogy? That's what it seems like to me.
The devil you know versus the devil you don't know. Romeo Crennel obviously had a stint in Kansas City. So
he's not been a good head coach in his entire career, but he is beloved by a huge portion of the NFL just community.
Yeah,
a lot of people like him.
I've got the problem that I have with this Jacksonville team.
Like their defense is atrocious,
and they've got some injuries on the defensive side.
Josh Allen's the huge defensive injury because he's great.
Josh Allen's questionable. Miles Jack is questionable, and another problem. Those two guys are, I think, the biggest parts of their defense.
They're the only two people that didn't trade.
Yeah,
they got rid of everybody else.
Both of them are questionable this week. They were limited in practice. Josh Allen did not participate in practice.
I don't think he's going to play this week.
Yeah, it looks a little grim for them. Yeah, okay. I don't.
For me, I lean to Houston. I lean to the over.
I don't know how you don't take Houston here. I just don't.
If there's one spot where they're going to show something, this has to be the spot. You're playing arguably the worst team, one of the worst teams in the league, with a brand new head coach, which the coach doesn't even matter. It's the fact he got rid of the old guy. It's really all that matters. And you're hoping that maybe because Bill O'Brien's not there, they're going to stop force-feeding David Johnson to justify a terrible trade they made a couple months ago and just let Watson throw the damn ball.
It'd be funny if they just cut David Johnson.
Especially since Jacksonville has no pass rush whatsoever, and their best pass rusher is probably not going to play.
Yeah.
I think Watson's going to be able to have a picnic back there and just pick apart this defense.
Yeah, Watson is a guy that if you give him time,
he's going to burn you.
He's going to burn you. But you put him under pressure, you make him move laterally. He can run, but
he can extend plays. And I think that Jacksonville's issue with just getting after the passer has been a massive problem. They were actually decent against the run for most of the year before Joe Mixon absolutely torched them last week.
Right.
Even David Johnson, is he a running back who's built to carry the ball 20 times in a given game? No. He's built to have maybe 13 carries and like 4 catches.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to play the Texans there.
I gotta assume they're gonna let Watson cook, and I think Watson's gonna cook.
Yep, agreed. Cardinals, Jets. Yeah, they just keep getting better, don't they?
Well, I also had a thought on this for a play.
Well, this is also your team. So the Jets are making a quarterback change. You want to talk about that a little bit? I know you're excited about Joe Flacco stepping up.
I mean, after all, anytime you can switch from an average at best quarterback to an elite quarterback in Joe Flacco, I feel like you're kind of making the right moves, right?
Does he still make like $40 million a year?
I don't know. It's been about 5 years. Is Joe Flacco still elite or no? I remember that was a serious conversation back like 5-6 years ago. Joe Flacco, elite? Maybe. I don't know. And then after that Super Bowl, it's like, oh, no, he's not. What do I think about this spot? I think it's a pretty bad matchup for the Jets. They can't stop anybody. Their offense isn't very good. And Joe Flacco is extremely immobile behind one of the worst defensive lines in all of football. I think Flacco does have some veteran experience, which will lead to maybe some better decision-making because Darnold has had issue turning the ball over. But you got Chandler Jones coming around the edge. You got Budda Baker. You got Patrick Peterson in the secondary. You still have Kyler Murray. You still have DeAndre Hopkins. Christian Kirk's finally healthy again. I got to lean to Arizona, right? I can't back an Adam Gase team right now.
No, and and this is a tough one for me because I
don't think Arizona's that good.
I like this Arizona team a lot.
I did too, but I think they peaked too early and they got exposed over the last 2 weeks.
They peaked in week 3. Is that what you're saying?
I think they kind of had to, right? They were 2-0 and people thought they were a top 10 team in football. That's my definition of peaking.
And then they, of course, just had a horrible game. Murray was dreadful.
It was bad. Against the Lions, he threw 3 picks. Should have been about 4. And then
three bad picks, too.
Carolina beat him down. Carolina beat them down last week.
Carolina did what?
They beat him down last week.
Yeah, they did.
The Lions game was close. That game was tied. Carolina just came out and said, we're better than you.
Yeah.
Carolina's supposed to win about 5 games this year, that's a bit concerning.
God damn it. All right.
Can I really back the Jets after that terrible showing on Thursday night against the Broncos? I know that they have extra time to prepare. They gave up 37 points to Brett Rippon. And now you're without your starting quarterback. And you still have no good weapons.
Well, so much of that was self-inflicted. They picked him off 3 times.
Yeah.
But
they had a pick 6.
The unsportsmanlike the unnecessary.
No, there's a bunch of free 15-yard penalties the entire way down the field.
6 of those.
Give or take. I know you had 1 on the last play of the game, but
right.
Greg Williams going to do Greg Williams stuff. I don't know. The main issue I have is that the Jets secondary is Desir, who had the pick 6 on Thursday night, got absolutely torched the entire damn game. Not very good. And when you can't guard Tim Patrick and Jerry Jeudy, congratulations. Here's DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. I got to assume Arizona's going to win this game pretty handily.
Yeah.
I do.
What's that?
Didn't the Jets quit on Gase? Because I do.
I think it's certainly possible.
I mean the players. I don't mean the front office. I mean
I'll back the Cardinals here. That is just such a dreadful. If ever there were spots where the Jets were going to get a cover, it'd be this one. But
I think the Jets are the worst team in football. So I think they are actually the worst team in the entire league. So I can't take them in the spot.
Eagles at Steelers.
interesting spot because Pittsburgh had the unexpected bye week last week, and Philadelphia's coming off the nice upset victory against San Francisco and a quarterback who might not be good enough to play for Louisiana Tech. So I don't know about that because Mullins was awful in that game. Beathard did his best to bring him back late, but it was too late at that point. I kind of want to lean to Philly because Pittsburgh's defense is really good. The total's at 44. So I don't expect many points in this game. And I still don't know what to think of Pittsburgh's offense. It's fine, I guess. I don't think it's great by any means. In Philadelphia, you can roast Carson Wentz all you want, Philadelphia. He's still very talented. And I think that even though Philly will lose this game, I think it'll be close. I think it'll be low scoring. Philadelphia's defense isn't bad by any means. It's not great, but I think it's okay. And both teams are very good at getting after the passer. So I think that you should see both quarterbacks struggle in terms of getting protection from their offensive lines. I think this game probably finishes around 2017, give or take. So I'm going to lean to the under, and I'll lean to Philly.
All right. Statistically speaking,
I just think 7's too many points.
Carson Wentz is the worst quarterback in the NFL right now.
I think you'll agree with me, though, that on Sunday night against the 49ers, I thought he actually looked pretty good.
He looked better than he has. I agree with that.
He's got no weapons also. When your main receiver is Greg Ward Jr., you have some problems. That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
Not all on Wentz.
Well, and they're going to be without Deshaun Jackson. They're going to be without Alshon Jeffrey again. So, of course, Pittsburgh is going to be missing Derek Watt and Marcus Allen. So
that's Derek Watt, not T.J. Watt. So that's not that big of a deal. But yeah.
Well, true. You're right. I forgot I had the double Watts. Yeah,
T.J. Watt's a bigger deal because he's one of the best.
Yeah. They can get around the fullback situation. It's the play that I like here is the under. I'm not sure where the offense is.
That's what I was saying. That's why I'm leaning Philly also because I think that if points are going to be at a premium, I think 2017 sounds about right to me.
All right, yeah, I'll take the under in this one. Yeah, don't want to work. All right, Bengals at Ravens, Scott. Ravens minus 13.
I'm against Lamar Jackson fantasy this week. I'm sure that'll be a very, very fun time for me. I know he was questionable pretty much all week. He was dealing with a leg injury and an illness of some kind, so he was kind of dealing with a lot of stuff. But of course, he's going to play because it's football and he's against the Bengals and he can put up some good stats. Do I think it matters? No. Do I think Lamar will be a little bit limited movement-wise? Potentially, because I do think that knee injury might play a factor.
Mm-hmm.
Does it matter? I know that Cincinnati beat I know they beat the Jaguars. Congratulations. But Joe Burrow I do like a lot, but Baltimore's defense is still ridiculously good, and their offense is still ridiculously good. So the Bengals can't protect their quarterback at all, and they are very good against the run. I think that the Bengals will show signs of life for maybe a quarter. But at the end of the day, Baltimore is just a different animal. I think Baltimore wins this game going away.
Yeah. I want to.
It's a big spread, but that offensive line for Cincinnati, I just can't overlook. That is such a terrible unit.
It is. They're also missing. They're going to be probably missing Mackenzie Alexander in the defensive backfield. Baltimore isn't.
It doesn't really matter because Burrow's been good. Is AJ Green done?
I think he is. I dumped him for my fantasy team. So if that doesn't light a fire in him, I don't know what will.
I still have him for one more week just because he's one of my favorite fantasy players of all time. I'm not using him, of course. He's just been on my bench. But
right,
you bring in a quarterback who's clearly better than Andy Dalton. Guy who can throw the deep ball. Very, very good. Burrow, for me, already looks like a top 15 quarterback in the league.
Yeah, he's probably in the upper half of the league.
He's played about 3 games, or 4 games. He's very good. And yet, AJ Green has done absolutely nothing with Burrow. I know he's coming back off injury, and you got to wonder about working off rust, blah, blah. It's week 5.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, it's not rust, it's you.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder if all those injuries that Green has had over the years have finally caught up to him, and it wouldn't surprise me if they have, but that's a separate topic. I don't know if that matters because Baltimore's defense is so good and their offense is ridiculous. So I think Cincinnati's defense is actually underrated. Their defense is surprisingly decent, which kind of surprised me a lot going into the year because I thought they'd be awful. But I don't know. I think Baltimore could win 31-14, 31-13. Do I think the Bengals are going to score more than 14 points? Maybe not.
Yeah, for the first time this season, they don't have Geno Atkins on the injury list.
That's definitely a good sign for the run defense because it's the worst run defense in the league.
Oh, it's dreadful. Just absolutely.
Or it's second worst now because Houston passed them for ineptitude. But either way, it's bottom three.
You know, the part that I don't like about this, Scott, is Baltimore is so banged up. They've got a ton of guys on the injury list. Like you talk about, the two biggies that I look at are Mark Andrews and, of course, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Well, Jackson, of course, is going to play, but you have to wonder if his mobility will be compromised, which I think it might be to some degree. Do I think he's still going to run? Of course. But I don't think he's going to be the same 100%. Nobody can catch me, that kind of guy. I think he'll stay in the pocket a little bit more. Andrews is a big deal because he's their main target because I like Hollywood Brown, but that receiving core ain't it. No,
I totally agree.
But I'm still going to lean to Baltimore because I just think head to toe, they're just better in every single position. Is there any position that Cincinnati's actually better in? I can't find it.
Maybe running back.
Okay, that's fair. Mixon's one guy. Baltimore is about a three-headed guy.
Right. I'm just saying I'd rather have Mixon than.
That's fair. But overall, you can agree with me that for pretty much every other position, Baltimore's head shoulder is better.
Yeah, agreed. Although long term,
I think Burrow's going to be a top 5 quarterback.
If I was starting a fantasy team, I'd take Burrow over Lamar Jackson.
I think Burrow's nuts, but I think that it's also very early, and I think Cincinnati was doomed to be a terrible team this year. So I'll go with Baltimore.
Okay, I'll play. Let me see. I was trying to figure this out here. So they're 13, 25, 19.
You're looking at a team.
I'll play Baltimore team total over. I was going to play Cincinnati team total under.
I heard you doing the math, and I'm like, I think you're doing a team total math right there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 31 and a half.
Yeah, give or take.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I think, but I'm going. This is one of these ones that I'm going to wait probably up until the last minute to see what the injury report looks like with who the inactives are. So
definitely makes sense.
All right, Dolphins and 49ers, buddy. 49ers -9 over those Dolphins.
Well,
those lovable Dolphins.
Speaking of waiting for injury reports, sorry to interrupt. This is the game you should be waiting for because there is a chance Jimmy Garoppolo might come back for this game.
Right. That's the. I know they're probably rushing him a lot more after last week's game than they were before last week's game.
He was limited in practice, though, so it's not like they're just throwing him into the fire. If he showed some signs of relative health, then they might use him. Truth is, I kind of like Miami in this spot anyway. San Francisco, I know that Mullins was not the answer. I thought they should have benched him in the middle of the second quarter instead of that awful pick six because that 49ers offense was terrible the entire day. And Beathard might not be great, but he's shown flashes previously substituting in. So I thought that they would try something. They didn't do it. But for the sake of this game, I'm assuming for the sake of it, Garoppolo is going to play. Well, do I think the 49ers should be 9-point favorites? No, I don't. Because I think Miami, even though they aren't a great team, they really gave Seattle all they could handle last week. I don't think the Miami team's that bad, and Byron Jones is back. So their secondary should be very, very much improved because the guy that they paid tons of millions of dollars to during the offseason is finally back in the lineup. And the question that I have for the 49ers is that if Deebo Samuel is questionable, you have Garoppolo is questionable, stuff like that. Plus the defense is still very banged up, and they're not going to get healthy because Bosa, Thomas, and all those guys are out. D Ford, I don't think is back yet. I think 9's too many points, and I think that Fitzpatrick has the ability to, mess around and lose by 7. So for me, I'm going to lean to the Dolphins. I think that the spread's a bit too high.
Yeah, D Ford's on the IR, by the way.
That's what I'm saying. So he's not going to play.
No, he's not going to play. That's the problem with San Francisco is they are banged up in the secondary. Mosley's out. Dante Johnson, his backup, is out.
It's good that Sherman's back though. So that does.
Witherspoon is questionable. Sherman's still on the IR.
Is he still on the IR? I thought he came back.
No.
Oh, never mind. I thought he came back.
No. Let me double check, make sure that he's not.
I could have sworn he was on a 3-week IR, so I thought that he was back by now. But
if he is, he ain't ready because he is not on the injury report, nor is he listed as active.
No, never mind. It says that they announced target date for return, so I guess he's not back yet. So.
Yeah, Deebo Samuel should be back.
He played last week, but he's questionable, so that's worth
he's again an illness.
I'm assuming you agree that the spread should probably be closer to 7 than 9.
Yeah, San Francisco still got a lot of juice from last season, so I get it. Miami still thought it was the doormat. It's a lot.
Mostert might be back, which would be a huge boost to the running game, but I don't think the running game was that bad to begin with, even when Mostert was out. I do like Mostert a lot. I think he's very good, but it's mostly just looking at the offense and the injuries and going, should you really be favored by 9 against a team that actually gave Seattle a run for their money last week? I don't think they should be.
Yeah. This Miami team has a bad habit of really never threatening the victory.
But they'll always be a threat to cover.
But there'll always be a threat to cover. So, yeah, okay. I'll dance with you there. I'll take the Miami Dolphins. Now your other team here, Scott, the Giants and the Cowboys. Cowboys 9.5-point favorites. 54 is the number there. Your thoughts on this one?
My thoughts. It's going to involve some thoughts and prayers. If the Cowboys lose this game, you're going to have some serious problems in Dallas. My thoughts on the game are that money keeps pouring on the Giants. Makes sense. Cowboys can't stop anything. They probably couldn't stop a college offense right now. I'm just going to wait it out until the line keeps dropping because I'm interested in taking Dallas and Dallas only because the Giants, if there's one team that wouldn't be able to score on Dallas, it would be the Giants because Jason Garrett and Freddie Kitchens joined the offense as coaches, and suddenly they have the worst offense in the league. Is that a coincidence? Probably not. But, I don't want to read too much into that, but Daniel Jones, 0 touchdown passes each of the last 3 weeks, turnover machine, and the Giants defense was good against the Rams. This Cowboys offense, even though the team isn't very good, this offense is really, really good. So the question is, if the Cowboys score 28 points, will the Giants even score 20? And I don't know. I hope for the sake of their jobs, they can score at least 20 against the Cowboys defense. But there is a chance the Cowboys go in extremely angry and drop 35 on their heads. And I don't know if the Giants are going to have any answers.
You give any credibility to the Jason Garrett revenge spot here?
I said that as a joke earlier in the week. No. I think that Jason Garrett has a system that's still based in 2002 where he needs to run the ball the entire time and then run some dump-off passes short. Doesn't help the offensive line, still terrible. That doesn't help. Is Andrew Thomas a good tackle that they drafted? Yeah, he's fine. But the issue is that all 4 other guys aren't any good. There's one thing the Cowboys are decent at, it's actually getting after the passer because Aldon Smith is one of the league leaders in sacks. So they're actually decent at getting after the passer. They're awful against the run, but the Giants have Gallman and Devontae Freeman. But it's mostly just I'm going to lean Dallas because I just think Dallas is a significantly better team. And until New York scores more than 17 points in a game, which they have not done this season, I'm not going to assume they're going to get into a shootout with Dallas. So for me, I'm going to wait it out right before kickoff because money's going to keep pouring in on the Giants. I'll take the Cowboys, hopefully around 7.5.
Yeah, that's such a dreadful offense for the Giants.
It's so bad. It's so beyond terrible.
Slayton Tate and C.J. Board as your 3 receivers. That's just not good. Looks like they may get Jabril Peppers back, which is huge.
That's huge for them. But the defense was actually good without him last week, so I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, they were. I think this number is a little too high.
I've seen the Cowboys play the Giants with Dak over the last year or two, and they've destroyed the Giants at home in the last couple of years. They've just smacked them. So I'm going to lean Dallas.
Give me under 54.
Okay.
I don't think the Giants can do their part. 35-15, something like that. That's 35-14 rather.
I was thinking 35-17, so we're on the same page here.
Okay.
So for me, I'm going to lean to Dallas just because until the Giants show me something offensively, I got to assume Jones is going to take a stupid sack or turn the ball over at least twice in this game, and that should be enough anyway.
That is kind of what he does.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to fully blame Daniel Jones, though. He has some flashes, but he cannot stop turning the ball over. Colts
and the Browns, bud. Pick them.
I find this game the toughest game in the entire card, which makes sense because it's a pick 'em. Mm-hmm. But I have no idea how good Indianapolis is. I've seen the Browns play. I know that they're good. I know that Cleveland's good. I know that they're also missing Nick Chubb. So it doesn't help, but that just means Kareem Hunt will get more touches. And believe it or not, as you are well aware, Kareem Hunt, very good running back. So that's a decent backup to have. For the Colts, their defense has been the best defense in the entire league, which is a shocker to me. Of course, getting DeForest Buckner helps. They got Xavier Rhodes, who's also done a pretty good job in a renaissance year for him.
Yeah, Xavier Rhodes really has had a fantastic year. I thought he was like last year's turkey. I thought he was done.
Yeah, I agree. But the one thing that keeps bothering me about the Colts, and you know what I'm going to say, it's Phillip Rivers, because he stinks. He is awful. And I know that you can trash talk opposing linebackers because Jonathan Taylor turned the corner on you. Don't trash talk when you're 17 for 30-something with 150 passing yards. You're not any good. You're getting paid $25 million and you're worse than Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah,
Am I wrong? I think Brissett's clearly the better quarterback at this point in their careers.
I didn't understand that move at all.
It made no sense. I thought it was the stupidest move of the offseason, and now they do have a good record, and they're flexing a little bit, going, yeah, we got a shot to win the division. I'm like, sure. Phillip Rivers every week's going to throw roughly 50%, and he can't throw the ball more than 30 yards down the field. But sure, go nuts.
He's going to
he's not even a game manager because he's going to make 2 or 3 stupid decisions every game.
Yeah, that's you know that he's going to
because he still thinks that he's 25 and he's going to try to sling it in there like old Brett Favre, except his arm's even worse than old Brett Favre. And I think Rivers is done. I know people can talk about Brady and how Brady's washed and how Breeze is washed and whatever. The most washed quarterback in the league right now is Phillip Rivers, and it's not even close. And I think you might agree with me there. Brady did not look good yesterday, but I think you'll agree with me that Rivers has looked worse this year.
Well, that's a tough one.
Brady did have the 5-touchdown week against the Chargers. I know the Chargers' defense isn't very good, but he has shown flashes. What has Rivers shown?
Yeah, no, you're right. Playing the AFC West, we've seen Rivers look like crap.
I do like this Colts defense a lot, though. It's a very good defense. I do appreciate that. But at the end of the day, Cleveland has a good pass rush. They can get after the quarterback. They're pretty good at it. And I also just look overall at the makeup of the roster, and I just cannot – I'm not saying Baker Mayfield's a good quarterback. I'd rather have him than Phillip Rivers.
Agreed.
Not that much. So I'm looking at Phillip Rivers right now. He's got 4 touchdowns, 3 picks, and he's completing 72% of his passes, which are fine. But 4 touchdowns, 3 picks is less than 1,000 yards in 4 games.
I'll take the Colts. I'll take the defense.
I'm going to go with the Browns. It wouldn't surprise me if they lose, but it wouldn't surprise me if Rivers also makes a bad decision or 2.
All right. Monday night game is the Vikings and the Seahawks.
You know what that means, right? Primetime game for Kirk Cousins.
Oh, that's right. It's not just for Mondays anymore.
He did win one against the Cowboys. It was either last year, but overall, what is he, 1-9?
He's awful. Yeah, he is. Every time I preach the say that's not a thing. It's it doesn't.
Yeah,
matter.
It has to be a thing. We had the same matchup last year on Monday Night Football, and Cousins lost. I think they might have covered that game. I actually don't think he looked that bad in that game, but they lost.
Terrible Seattle defense. We've talked about it ad nauseum on this show.
Minnesota's defense also stinks.
Yeah, they do. They're not good. They've got a couple cornerbacks that are banged up. I'm looking at the Seattle injury report here. Jamal Adams is still out. That's huge. Dunbar's questionable. He was limited, so he'll probably go.
It's roughly 35-20. It's roughly, what is this, like 36-29 for the team totals?
Yes. I'm
going to go with Minnesota under.
No, I'm sorry. No, not 36-29.
I'm sorry. I know that would equal 60-something. Sorry.
Yeah, that's 65.
Yeah, what was the math on that?
Well, let's see. It's going to be 28, 3.5. So 31 and a half, 25, somewhere 31, 25, something like that.
Yeah, I might surprise you here, but I'm going to go with Minnesota's team total under. I know that involves me backing Seattle's defense, which I thought actually looked pretty good against Miami last week. I thought they actually looked pretty good. It's mostly just a fade of Kirk Cousins. I've seen him in Seattle numerous times in his career. especially in prime time. He is awful every time he goes to Seattle. He is terrible. And I know that Seattle is probably going to dominate offensively because Russell Wilson's Russell Wilson. I get it. But Kirk Cousins ain't it.
If you force Kirk Cousins to be one-dimensional, that's when things get ugly.
And that's the issue, is that Minnesota, when in doubt, wants to run the ball. If there's one thing Seattle is good at, stopping the run.
Yep.
So if they're going to force Cousins into third and longs where he has to throw against the secondary, although the secondary is not very good, I think Cousins is going to struggle. And for that reason, I also don't find much value at the spread and the total because the total's huge and the spread is huge. What's the team total again for Minnesota approximately?
Probably going to be in the neighborhood of 25. So as long as you can get it north of 24, I think that's a play.
Yeah, I'll take the under for me.
All right, I think that's solid.
It's mostly just fading Kirk Cousins, and don't get me wrong, I could be wrong. He could put together a good game. I've seen Kirk Cousins too many times in Seattle to assume anything positive from him. I can't do it.
All right, there you go. All right, everybody, that's a wrap for our NFL show for this week.
So you also have the same thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I would probably I also lean towards just the full game over. This is a pretty darn bad Seattle defense, but and I think they're going to be.
That Seattle's defense looked surprisingly decent against Miami last week.
Well, again,
they let Miami go down the field, but the red zone defense was actually very good.
Yeah, well, of course, Miami's red zone defense was pretty good too, as they held the Seattle to 5 field goals.
Yeah, but I think Miami's defense is better than Minnesota's, which tells you all you need to know about Minnesota's.
Fair enough. So I would lean full game over. I don't hate your team total under there.
I just don't find value anywhere else. When in doubt, I'm going to fade Kirk Cousins on prime time.
No, that's not a way to go broke. So
yeah.
All right, bud. Very good. Got done in time to watch the Yankees, so that's a good thing.
Yankee game actually started already, but close enough.
All right, bud. So thanks very much, as always, for joining us, everybody. We appreciate you stopping by. If you're looking for deep dives into any of these games, make sure you stop by winnersandwhiners.com, your one-stop shop for all your handicapping needs. Every sport, every day, always free, winnersandwhiners.com. And, of course, thanks for watching us. We wish you luck on all of your plays, not just today, but the entire weekend as well. Hope every single one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money back at the window. So for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at Winners and Whiners, appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody.